Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to today's AFK journey video. So we are back on the wishlist side of things. Hopefully this is my last wishlist video because I already had two wishlist videos on the channel. One is my beginner's wishlist guide where I talk about what are units to put on your wishlist and explain why they should be on your wishlist. And then the other wishlist video is me sharing my free-to-play account wishlist, which is the one that you guys are seeing on screen right now. So I realized that there's still some questions which are in the wishlist category, and it's very common. Like, people ask questions, right? I'm just going to say the question. So they ask me whether or not I should keep units in a wish list. Should I put this unit in a wish list in that unit's place? And then if I get this unit to Supreme Plus, should the unit stay on the wish list? So I hope to answer all this in today's video. So to begin this video, right, I'm going to go into my epic recruitment wish list, right, to talk about things that I haven't shown in my previous video. So this is my current epic hero wish list. This part of the wish list is very flexible because previously this was how my wish list looked like, at least for this account, right? So I'll explain the rationale as well. So the previous time when I was actively manipulating this wish list because, like I mentioned, because this is manipulatable, right? There is a PD system. So when I see that my PD counter is very close, or I know that the next pull that I do, I'm gonna get the guaranteed 5 units on top, I'm gonna put units which I value better or higher at the point of pushing contents on top. So previously it was OD, Merrily, and Corin for Dream Realm as well as content pushing, because I needed OD and Merrily at their EX weapon to unleash their potential. So right now I already got the both of their EX weapon on my account, as you guys can see. So I don't think I need to push them so fast to Supreme Plus in a sense, because I have limited resources. So I switch them out because once I get their EX weapon, they can actually perform pretty decently. So I now switch out to the S level characters, which I feel that is very powerful in the different game modes, which I will use for a long time, as well as they're not in the arena store. Because these units, they're all generally very powerful, and one thing that they all have in common is that they are not in the arena store, so there's no way for you to actually get them outside of pooling. And as these units are really good, right, like pooling for them is definitely not a loss. So every ticket that you spend to try to get them is okay. And at the same time, going back to the OD Merrily topic, because these units, I'll eventually get them to Supreme Plus as long as I'm doing pulls in the game itself. So I still do pulls from the epic recruitment, I still do pulls from the hero equipment, and since these units are already on my A level hero wish list, I'll get them anyway. So the pace where I get them to Supreme Plus is not important to me. That's why they're not in my epic recruitment wish list. So for the epic recruitment side, I did a video for the manipulation thing, so you guys can watch that. But in general, you can manipulate this freely based on the units you want. You can even go to the extreme and put like 5 of your A level units in the wish list like this, right? So we're gonna do this, and this, right? If you want to go to the extreme, if you feel that you got the devil's luck, right, you can manipulate this such that you don't get this on top first. This is what you can do. Then you can guarantee to get these 3 units nonetheless. Or you can do it the other way. You put these 3 units on top and pray that you can get them ASAP. So this is where the gacha RNG factor comes in. This one is something I cannot control. This is also not something you can control unless you are a Lilith game developer yourself. So this one, change it based on your personal needs, based on how much you want to min-max. It's called min-maxing for a reason, and that's that. But this will be, I'll say, like the more standard list for most people, I'll recommend. So because these are units which are just very good, and these are units which you can't get from the arena store. Okay, so if you're free to play and you value a S level character, this should be how your epic hero wish list look like. And with that, let's move on to the all hero recruitment. So for all hero recruitment, I already talked multiple times about my wish list. I'm not going to explain why the units are there and why you should put those units there. But in general, for this hero wish list, I think another question which pops up a lot is, Zeep, should I keep a unit in a wish list? Zeep, should I change out the unit for this unit, that unit? Zeep, I'm already reached Supreme Plus for this unit. Should I keep the unit there? So for these questions, right, let's just answer it as a whole package. So number one, the very first question you ask yourself is, how long do you plan to play the game? Do you plan to play the game in the long haul? Do you enjoy yourself playing the game? Do you see yourself playing the game 5 to 10 years down the road? Do you see yourself playing the game 1 year later? Or are you going to quit the game 1 month later? So all this, as well as how much pool resources you can garner, right? Whether or not you're a spender, whether or not you're free to play, whether or not you are really lucky with your gacha, you have to factor all this in terms of your wish list. So I'll speak about it from my perspective. So I know I'm going to stay in the game for quite a while. I know my account will eventually reach a stage where all my units will reach Paragon. Then I will keep specific strong units which I'm going to use in my wish list no matter what. So case in point is Torrent. I think Torrent needs no explanation. This unit is probably one of the best tanks, and if you do plan to stay in the game for a long time, you will get him to Paragon. You will want to get him to Paragon. So what you can do is keep him in the wish list and get 6 copies of him, because for you to upgrade from Supreme Plus to Paragon, you need 6 copies, and then you also need 25 copies of Supreme Plus units. So you can get 6 copies of him first, and once you reach the 6 copies threshold, switch him out for another S level unit, so you can get other units to Supreme Plus. So this applies to, I'll say in general, the very commonly used units. Personally, if you are somebody who's not going to stay in the game for very long, once you get him to Supreme Plus, you can just change it up to Igor, because that way you will get Igor to S Plus ASAP, right? You don't have to prepare for Paragon, because if you're not staying in the game for very long and you're not spending a lot in the game, you're not going to get to Paragon anyway, right? So why prepare for something that you won't get there for? So for this case, then putting other units once you reach Supreme Plus is okay, because you want to experience the game. You want to get the unit to Supreme Plus so you can experience at least 80% of the unit's power before you move on to another game. So what's most important is you got to evaluate whether or not you'll stay for long, whether or not you enjoy, you know, not having a lot of units at a high tier because you do have a lot of flexibility, whether or not your gacha luck is insane, you're getting a lot of S level early PT, or whether or not you're spending a lot in the game, so you're getting a lot of pulls. If you're getting a lot of pulls, then switch out, you know, you got to switch things out, and then you get duplicate copies, and then you upgrade from there. So that's with regards to switching the units in and out. Then another very common question is, hey Zeep, I got this unit to Mythic Plus, and then I should I go to Mythic Plus for that unit, should I go to Supreme Plus for that unit? So this question is, I'll say, very subjective as well. Personally, if it's an OD Merrily comparison, I'll say once you get OD's EX weapon, you can just move on to Merrily, because Merrily is just better for Dream Realm, right? And for OD's case, once you get the EX weapon, you can pretty much push through contents anyway. So what I'll do in the case of OD and Merrily will be, if I get OD's EX weapon, then I will use him to push content, and then I go for gacha spam for my Merrily's EX weapon, then try to get her to Supreme Plus first, because she'll be very useful for my Dream Realm contents. So this is a very standard question. There's also other questions like, oh, I get Torrent, should I switch Torrent with Danny? Or I got Cecile, should I switch Cecile with Carolina? So this one is dependent on how much you're using the unit, how strong the unit is, as well as your gacha luck, whether or not you're getting repeated copies of those units that are on your wish list. So the last thing which I want to talk about is don'ts. Don't put unit which you don't see value in, or don't put units which I would say generally they fall off quite badly, or you have better choices in the wish list. So I'm just going to do my daily Cecile bashing over here, put her inside, right? Units like Atalanta, units like Faye, units like Walker. Okay, I'm just going to put them there. I'm going to talk about them all together. Okay, for this side, nope. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the units which you shouldn't put, okay? Atalanta, Walker, Faye, Lumon, Kafra, Sylvina, Salazzo, right? They are probably the weaker bunch. They're probably the weaker units of the bunch. And they are not units which you will see any use, and they are not units where you invest in them and then you will find some use, because other units at a lower tier could perform better than them at Supreme Plus. So these units will require a lot of commitment, will require you to have a lot of resources for you to even see use to them, right? So if you don't even use them, why bother pulling for them? And if you pull for them, if you're not going to use them, then it's going to waste all your pulling resources. So the idea of why you don't put them there is very simple, because they're just not very good. So we next have the more niche categories. So Brutus, okay, these units, right, I'll say, to me, I don't put them, right? I don't recommend people to put them. I'll explain why. But if you love them, if you like their design and you see some use in them, then you can put them in your wish list, right? Why not? Because it's your favorite unit. It's how you want to play the game. I cannot affect how you want to play the game, but I can only tell you how I like to play the game. So that's something that I think a lot of CCL fanboys are super like crazy about just because I say CCL is not good. But I want to explain my points again, right? I don't care whether you guys like to listen, because that's how I play the game and that's how I share my opinions with my viewers. So let's start with Brutus, right? So Brutus is actually a unit with a very specific niche in terms of usage, which is to buy 5 seconds of time, and if your enemies don't have any ways to answer it, he's actually a pretty good unit. Not trying to say that he's a good unit as a whole, but he's actually very good in that very specific niche. And the thing about Brutus is I feel that with future upgrades, he has a potential to become better. So if you are already committed into him, then feel free to keep him there. But in general, I don't recommend people to put him, because I don't even recommend people to use him in terms of the tanking position, because you just have way better choices, right? Even Lucius is better, you have Danny, you have Torrent obviously, and then even for Thermasia's case, Thermasia does a better job in terms of tanking. So generally Brutus will not be the highest priority in terms of the frontline tank. And then for Citrana's case, I think she has a very specific niche. But then again, for the general player base, she'll be quite useless in terms of usage. So it's more for the whale people, for the whale players, or the players who really love her, then you'll put Citrana there. So that's for the wilder side. Seth is also okay. Like, Seth is actually very powerful in arena. So if you're somebody who's very arena centric, Seth is actually a good unit to put here. But usually don't put units which you don't intend to use, right? So this comes to my last unit, my daily CCL bash, or rather just a very, I'll say this will probably be the last time I say the truth, and the truth hurts, and I think some people don't like to hear it, and that is CCL is really not very good in the late game. Like, people are telling me, oh, people are using CCL to push Trial Abyss. I'll tell you this, okay, if you're under level, if you're at Trial Abyss 350, nobody's gonna use CCL. The reason is very simple, she's just too slow. Like, I don't know what is it so hard to understand, she's just too slow. Like, when the pacing of the game is slow, obviously she's good, but when the pacing of the game is way too fast, she falls off. Simple as that. So I think I explained this so many times that I'm so lazy to explain it again. Like, people who are commenting that, oh, my CCL OP, my CCL good, I don't know what you're trying to prove, because if you reach a certain stage where you can't use her, you will realize my point. Simple as that. I've already done up to 390. I'll tell you, I think CCL is okay to use all the way until 300. I think CCL as a unit is still okay, but once you cross that 300, 350 mark, things get really hard, and then she'll fall for Trial Abyss as well. So that's that, right? She push content faster, yes, but if you get OD to Mythic Plus, if you're lucky enough, OD pushes faster, even faster than CCL, to be really honest. So that's just my point. Like, if you really love her and you are really so committed into her, I've seen people get her EX weapon to EX 25, then go ahead, right? She will be your strongest unit for quite a bit, she will be your most heavy investment, and obviously she will be good in your account. So that's pretty much it, right? From my point, it's a more general point of view, and because I have actually used her and I have choose to not to use her in other accounts, I've seen the goods and bads, and I feel that the bads outweigh the good for her. So that's why I don't recommend her to other people. That's pretty much it. A very simple do's and don'ts for a hero wish list. My daily CCL best as usual, but I think some people just don't get it right. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more, and I'll see you guys again in the next video. Bye guys.